always thought I was doing the right thing. When my sister Anne had her first baby at 19 and disappeared for 6 months, I was the one who rocked her daughter to sleep every night. I was 22 then, barely out of college, just starting to map out my future. I had a job offer lined up, a little savings, and a dream of moving to New York to pursue a career in publishing. But all of that was put on pause the moment Anne left her baby on our parents' porch and vanished. It's just temporary. My mom had said, already tired and sick from working double shifts. My dad was never around enough to help, so I stayed for a few weeks, then a few months, then a year. Anne came back eventually, smiling, carefree, wearing clothes I couldn't afford. She barely said thank you. She stayed for a month, then left again. The cycle began, 4 children later, and each time, the story repeated itself. She'd get pregnant, swear she was ready this time, give birth, then vanish sometimes with a new boyfriend, sometimes on some spiritual healing trip, sometimes just gone. And me, I was still there. Daycare was too expensive. I worked remote jobs, turned down promotions, stayed single. I missed weddings, vacations, and years of my own life trying to raise children I didn't give birth to, but loved as if I had. I watched their first steps, stayed up with them through fevers, sat front row at their school plays. They called me Mama, more than they ever did Anne. Everyone praised me. You're such a good sister. Those kids are lucky to have you. But no one asked what it cost me. No one asked what I wanted. Chapter 2. The breaking point. It happened on a Sunday. Anne had gathered us all for a special family dinner. I was the last to arrive, hair unwashed, sleeves rolled up, having spent the day cleaning up the kids' art supplies and helping the oldest study for a math test. I figured Anne wanted to apologize or announce some plan to finally step up, but no. She stood up, clinking her glass, and with that same sparkly voice that once got her out of detention and into boys' hearts, she said, "I'm pregnant." The room erupted in cheers. Cheers, my mother clapped. My aunt wiped away a tear. The kids looked confused. I froze again. I asked quietly. Anne grinned. "Yeah, number 5. I know it's crazy, but I just feel like this one is going to fix everything. It's fate." I felt something deep inside me crack, like a string being pulled too tight for too long. I stood up slowly. "Who's going to raise this one?" Anne, me again. The room went silent. Anne blinked. "Well, I mean, of course we'll figure it out as a family, like always. Like always." I repeated, my voice trembling. "You mean like when you ran off after Maya was born? Or when you left me a voicemail from Mexico, the night Jordan had that asthma attack? Or when you dumped Lily at daycare with my name listed as her mother?" Anne's smile faded. "Don't do this now." I laughed. It wasn't funny, but I laughed, the kind of hollow, exhausted laugh that comes from years of silence. "Why not now? Why not while everyone's here, so they can all see the truth? I'm not just your sister, Anne. I'm your backup plan, your nanny, your safety net, and I'm done." My mother gasped. Anne's eyes widened. "You don't mean that?" "Oh, I do," I said. "I've missed my own life. I've missed my own chance at being a mother because I've been too busy raising yours. And you know what? I'm not sorry for loving them, but I am sorry for letting you ruin me." Then I left. I packed a bag that night. I kissed the kids goodbye while they slept. I didn't know exactly where I was going, just that I wasn't staying. Chapter 3. Sweet Revenge and New Beginnings. It's been 6 months since I walked away. I live 2 states over now, in a tiny apartment with light-filled windows and a job I love, editing children's books. I go on morning walks. I have a cat named Jasper. I even started seeing someone, a kind man named Theo who knows about my past and still calls me brave. But Anne's struggling. I heard through my cousin that she gave birth a month ago. She named the baby Faith. She also lost her job. The kids, all 5 now, are back with her, and surprise, it's not going well. The school called CPS twice. A neighbor reported screaming from the apartment. I thought about going back. Thought about picking up the pieces again like I always did. But I didn't. Instead, I called CPS myself. Not anonymously this time. I told them everything calmly, carefully. I didn't beg them to give me custody. I told them to find someone who could actually help. Someone who wouldn't just enable Anne's choices. I wrote Anne a letter, too. Not a cruel one, I don't hate her. I just can't save her anymore. I told her I hope she finds help. I told her I forgive her, but I won't sacrifice myself for her anymore. And I told her this, I'm not your shadow, Anne. I'm not your second chance. I'm my own person, and for the first time in a long time, I'm free. Sometimes I miss the kids. I dream about their giggles and late night cuddles, and sometimes I cry. But then I wake up to sunlight and silence, and I remember. I chose this life. I finally chose me, and that is the sweetest revenge there is. I didn't mean to become a mother. Not like this. I remember the night it all started, late summer, hot and sticky. My parents' front porch light flickered like it always did, casting a weak yellow halo over the creaking wooden steps. I had just come home from a late shift at the bookstore, still wearing the apron with "Ask Me About Jane Austen" stitched across the chest. And there she was, a crying red-faced newborn in a car seat. No note, just silence. We didn't even realize Anne was gone until we checked her room and found it empty. Clothes gone, phone off, just vanished like smoke. I was 22, just graduated from college with honors and a heart full of ambition. I had dreams, big ones. I wanted to live in a city that never slept, edit books that changed lives, meet people who challenged me, fall in love in the way only someone young and hopeful dreams of. But instead, I became someone else, a diaper changer, a bottle warmer, a lullaby hummer, a stand-in mother. Anne came back 7 months later, hair bleached, belly pierced, reeking of cheap tequila and bad decisions. She said something vague about figuring herself out. She kissed her baby on the forehead and left again 2 weeks later after an argument with our mom. And so I raised Maya, then Jordan, then Lily, then Max, 4 kids, 4 goodbyes. Each time, Anne showed up with a pregnancy test and a new excuse. I'm keeping it this time for real. This guy is different. I've changed, I promise. She hadn't. I gave up job offers, declined graduate school, said no to weekend getaways, Tinder dates, and once, to a man I truly liked because he said gently, I don't want kids, not yet. How could I explain to him that I already had them? People love to idolize sacrifice, don't they? You're so strong. They're lucky to have you. You're doing God's work. They didn't see me at 3 a.m., crying silently while folding laundry. They didn't see my bank statements or my cracked hands from scrubbing crayon off the walls. They didn't see the way my heart ached when I saw mothers and daughters who shared DNA and memories. They just saw someone dependable. They saw a woman who didn't complain, because if I did, if I even once said I was tired, I was selfish. So I stayed silent. I thought maybe someday Anne would grow up. Maybe she'd come back and say, thank you, I'm ready now, you can live your life again. But I should have known better. It's strange how silence can feel like a symphony when you've lived in chaos for so long. My new apartment is small, barely 600 square feet, but it's mine. There's a patch of sunlight that hits the kitchen table every morning at 9:07 sharp. I drink coffee there in peace, listening to nothing but the hum of the refrigerator. No cries, no cartoons. No spilled cereal or tantrums over the wrong color cup. Just peace. The first few weeks after I left were the hardest. Not because I missed Anne, but because I missed them, the kids, their laughter, their messiness, their little hands reaching for mine in the dark. I kept checking my phone, expecting someone to call, Anne maybe, or CPS, or one of the kids using a neighbor's phone, asking me to come get them. But the phone never rang. That silence was louder than any scream I'd ever heard. Then came the updates, trickled in through cousins, friends, and whispered family gossip. Anne had given birth to a baby girl, named her Faith, as if that word still held any meaning in her mouth. She was overwhelmed again. The kids weren't in school half the time. Bills were unpaid. Neighbors reported yelling. There were rumors about a new boyfriend, one with a temper. I thought about going back. God, I almost did. Packed a bag one night, even got in the car, drove halfway across the city before pulling over in a gas station parking lot and sobbing into the steering wheel. But I didn't go back, because I finally understood something. If I rescued them again, I wouldn't just be saving them, I'd be trapping myself. Again, I wouldn't get to live my own life. I wouldn't fall in love. I wouldn't write the book I'd started in the back of my journal. I'd just become invisible all over again, so I made a decision. I called CPS, not anonymously, not this time. I gave them every piece of information they needed, dates, school reports, photos of bruises Lily had come home with once, the neighbor's name who had left a voicemail crying after babysitting for. And I didn't lie, I didn't embellish, I just told the truth, finally. I told them I loved those kids. But I couldn't raise them anymore, and they deserved better than being caught in this endless storm. I hung up the phone, went to the bathroom, and threw up. Guilt, grief, maybe even relief, all tangled together. Then I wrote Anne a letter, not a dramatic, venom-laced attack, just a letter, from one broken sister to another. Dear Anne, this isn't revenge, it's release. I know you think I hate you, but I don't. I used to love you so fiercely it blinded me. I thought if I just held everything together long enough, you'd finally change, that you'd come back, apologize, and we'd raise these kids together, like some twisted fairy tale. But that day never came. I lost myself trying to hold you together. I gave up dreams, I lost years. And it was never enough for you, not once. So this is good. Bye, not just to you, but to the version of me that kept burning out just to light your path. I hope you get help. I hope one day you understand what you've done to yourself, to them, to me. But if you don't, that's okay too. Because this time, I'm choosing me, your sister, no longer your shadow. I mailed it without a return address. A week later, I adopted a cat. His name is Jasper, and he doesn't scream or ask for snacks every 10 minutes. He just curls up beside me while I read manuscripts and sips coffee on lazy mornings. I met someone, too. Theo, he's quiet, thoughtful, asks questions and listens, really listens. When I told him about my past, I braced for the usual reaction, pity, fear, maybe judgment. Instead, he said, you didn't just survive that. You carried generations of pain and broke the cycle. That's powerful. I cried that night. Not out of sadness, but because someone finally saw me. Not the martyr, not the fixer, just me. And in that moment I realized this is the sweetest revenge. Not screaming, not slamming doors, but living, fully, loudly, honestly, and never, ever going back.